All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video as the Niners have signed another player. It's tight end Brock Wright, a restricted free agent from the Detroit Lions. Now, first, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass. MarinAutoGlass.com, 415-883-3030. Are also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles. 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. And let's not forget Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code KRUG, KRUEG, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, let's talk a little bit about this move. Late March, before the draft, after the bulk of free agency, and the 49ers signed a restricted free agent in Brock Wright, a tight end, to a deal. Now, the Lions have 5 days to match. They issued him a contract at $2.98 million. So they've got a right of first refusal. So they can match. They can match the Niners' offer for Brock Wright and keep him on the team if they so choose. If they don't match, the 49ers don't owe them anything. So it's not like, oh, well, you owe them a certain number of draft picks or any. No, you don't owe them any draft picks. So let's talk a little bit about Brock Wright. He went to high school in Cypress, Texas. He went to Notre Dame. He played 48 games for the Golden Domers, 11 starts, only one career touchdown. He did play some H-back and some fullback at Notre Dame. So I think a lot of people initially have looked at his Pro Football Focus numbers and say, oh, he's a blocker per se. And I don't think he's a blocker per se. I think he's more of a receiver. I think this is a guy who's more of the Ross Dwelley replacement than the Warner, the Charlie Warner replacement. The Lions got him in the 2021 draft. After the draft, he went undrafted in the 2021 draft. He's now 25. He's 6'5", about 250 pounds. So that's good size for sure. And he's got 10-inch hands, which means that he's got great, huge mitts to catch the football. I think he's more of a receiver than as a blocker. I know people have looked at those Pro Football Focus numbers and say, oh, yeah, he's a blocker. He's a blocking tight end. No. I don't think so. I think this guy is a better blocker than Ross Dwelley, but he's not like in that Charlie Warner camp where he's a run blocker and he can't catch. This guy can catch the ball. This guy's not exclusively a run blocker. There's no question in my mind. He ran 4.66 in the 40 coming out of college. He had 26 reps at 225, which is a good number. Shows more than average strength. And in 3 years with Detroit as a backup tight end, he had 36 receptions, 373 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. So, as I said, Detroit offered him a $2.98 million contract. They have the right of first refusal on the Niners because Wright is a restricted player. Ian Rappaport basically says that San Francisco has made the signing. He's the one who had the initial report. As I said, Detroit has 5 days to match, and the Niners will not allow or not owe the Lions a pick if for whatever reason the Lions opt not to match. The Niners will get the player. There'll be no draft pick compensation. So what did I see on film? I saw a tall, angular guy who, they've used on kind of, some plays where they just kind of slid him across the formation and hit him. And all of a sudden he's hiding out underneath. And he had one touchdown where he kind of ran down the sideline and then cut it back in. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of run after the catch ability. He looks a little stiff in that regard. But, Notre Dame players typically achieve to their talent level. This guy showed some talent in South Bend, went undrafted, but at 6'5", 250 with 10-inch hands and a 4.66 40 time. I think he's a guy that can help them as a receiver, as a secondary receiver and maybe even as a secondary blocker. So more of a blocker than Dwelly, less of a blocker than Warner, more of a receiver, I think, than Dwelly, much more of a receiver than Warner. So where do the Niners currently sit on the tight end depth chart? Well, you got George Kittle, and then you got Cam Latu, you got Braden Willis, you got now this guy, and you also have I think his name's Tongues, the backup tight end from Cal. He's there. So Kittle's your 1, Cam Latu's your 2, Braden Willis is your 3, Jake Tongues is your 4, and now you've added this guy, Brock Wright, to the mix, who would probably slate in right after Latu. Now, the question is, what is Cam Latu? That's the other question coming into this. Do the Niners know what they have in Cam Latu? He dropped everything last summer. I mean, it was embarrassing how many passes he dropped. But when you went to talk to him about it, you could kind of tell that, and you watch his Alabama film, that the guy's got talent. He's got hands. He's got the ability to run after the catch. He looked overwhelmed mentally by what the Niners were asking him to do as a tight end, as a secondary tight end. I expect Latu to look a lot better this summer in camp catching the ball, just simply because he's gone through the mental reps. He's gone through the physical reps. He knows the offense a whole lot better. He won't have to think everything through. So now you've got Kittle as your 1, and you've got, Brock Wright and Cam Latu and Braden Willis probably all battling for that number 2 job. And then whoever loses it is number 3. And they keep 4 on their roster. So I would imagine they'll keep Braden Willis as the 4th. And Jake Tongues will be the guy who gets cut. But we'll see. We'll see how they go about the draft. We'll see do they draft a tight end? Do they draft more than 1 tight end? But I would expect there's going to be 4 tight ends on the 49er roster. And my expectation is it'll be Kittle, Latu, Braden Willis, or Kittle, Latu, Brock Wright, Braden Willis, and the draft pick all competing for 2 spots. I think they'll keep 4. They traditionally keep 4. So Kittle's going to make it, and then figure maybe Latu, Willis, and whoever, and Wright, and then whoever you draft, and Tongues battling for a couple spots. So you got 5 guys battling for 2 spots, with my guess is Latu and the draft choice will wind up being the second and third tight end. But we'll see. We'll see what Brock Wright has. We'll find out in the next few days if the Lions are going to match. If they decide not to match, then the Niners have another veteran. I said it earlier this week. I really felt the Niners were bringing 2 more tight ends, 1 veteran, 1 rookie. Now this is the veteran, I think, and now look for the draft for them to use one of their 10 selections on a rookie tight end. I think that's pretty much the way it's going to go. All right, there you have it. Brock Wright, the newest 49er. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Marin Auto Glass for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.